Arles in the south of Roman Gaul hosted several councils or synods referred to as Concilium Arelatense in the history of the early Christian Church. Council of Arles in 314. The First Council of Arles in 314 formally condemned the heresy of Donatism. It began as an appeal by the Donatists to Constantine the Great against the decision of the Council of Rome in 313 at the Lateran under Pope Miltiades. The appeal turned out unfavorably to the Donatists, who afterwards became enemies of the Roman authorities. The Council of Arles was the first called by Constantine and is the forerunner of the First Council of Nicaea. Augustine of Hippo called it an ecumenical council. It excommunicated Donatus and passed 22 canons concerning Easter, against the non-residence of clergy, against participation in races and gladiatorial fights, against the rebaptism of heretics, and on other matters of discipline. Clergymen who could be proven to have delivered sacred books in persecution should be deposed, but their official acts were to be held valid. The assistance of at least 3 bishops was required at ordination. Council of Arles in 353. Called in support of Arianism, it was attended, among others, by 2 papal legates. The legates were tempted into rejecting communion with Athanasius and refused to condemn Arius, an act which filled Pope Liberia with grief. Council of Arles in 435. A council was held on New Year's Day of 435 to settle the differences that had arisen between the abbot of Lerins and the bishop of Fréjus. Councils of Arles in 443 and 452. In the Synod of 443, attended also by bishops of neighboring provinces, 56 canons were formulated, mostly repetitions of earlier disciplinary decrees. Neophytes were excluded from major orders. Married men aspiring to the priesthood were required to promise a life of continency, and it was forbidden to consecrate a bishop without the assistance of 3 other bishops and the consent of the metropolitan. Council of 451. A council of 451 held after the close of the Council of Chalcedon in that year sent its adhesion to the Epistola Dogmatica of Pope Leo I, written by Flavian of Constantinople. Council of 463. Apropos of the conflict between the archiepiscopal see of Vienne and Arles, a council was held in the latter city in 463, which called forth a famous letter from St. Leo I. Bishop Leontius of Arles presided. 20 bishops attended. Council of 475. In 475 another council was called, attended by 30 bishops, in which the predestinationist teachings of the priest Lucidus were condemned. Council of Arles in 506. Exemplified the close connection between the Church and the Merovingian dynasty. Council of Arles in 524. A regional council was held in 524, with 14 bishops and 4 presbyters present. This council was held under the presidency of Saint Caesarius of Arles. Its canons deal chiefly with the conferring of orders. A number of Caesarius of Arles works have been published in sources Chrétiennes. Councils of Arles in 554 and 682. Little is known of the councils of 554 and 682. Council of Arles in 648 60th, possibly a provincial council, at which Theodorius of Arles was to be judged. Council of 813. An important council was held in 813, at the instigation of Charlemagne, for the correction of abuses and the re-establishment of ecclesiastical discipline. Its decrees insist on a sufficient ecclesiastical education of bishops and priests, on the duty of both to preach frequently to the people and to instruct them in the Catholic faith, on the obligation of parents to instruct instruct the children, etc. Council of 1034. In 1034 a council was held at Arles for the re-establishment of peace, the restoration of Christian faith, the awakening in the popular heart of a sense of divine goodness and of salutary fear by the consideration of past evils. Council of Arles in 1234–1236. The 1234 council opposed the Albigensian heresy. In 1236 a further council was held under the presidency of Jean Baussan, Archbishop of Arles, which issued 24 canons, mostly against the prevalent Albigensian heresy, and for the observance of the decrees of the Lateran Council of 1215 and that of Toulouse in 1229. Close inspection of the dioceses is urged on the bishops. As a remedy against the spread of heresy, testaments are declared invalid unless made in the presence of the parish priest. This measure, met within other councils, was meant to prevent testamentary dispositions in favor of known heretics. Council of 1251. In 1251 Jean, Archbishop of Arles, held a council near Avignon, among whose 13 canons is one providing that the sponsor at baptism is bound to give only the white robe in which the infant is baptized. Councils of 1260, 1263, and 1275. In 1260 a council held by Florentine, Archbishop of Arles, decreed that confirmation must be received for fasting, and that on Sundays and feast days the religious should not open the church as to the faithful, nor preach at the hour of the parish mass. The laity should be instructed by the parish priests. The religious should also frequent the parochial service, for the sake of good example. This council also condemned the doctrines spread abroad under the name of Wicim of Fiore, a 12th-century monk and mystic. In 1275, 22 earlier observances were promulgated anew at a Council of Arles. Books. Gaudemet Jean, Asdevant Gaudemet, Brigitte Clerc, Charles de Les Canons des Conciles Mérovingiens VIII Sickles. Text Latin de l'édition C. de Clerc. Editions du Cerf. ISBN 9782-2040303004.